But also, I mean, it just feels like a big event too. Just the way
once we decided to shoot with these cameras, that was the way it was going to. That was the way it was going to be, and but one of the things that actually it just ended up almost everything like that ended up just working out because we were working with these ultra panavision lenses before. They hadn't been used since the mid-'60s. The movie Cartoon was the last movie to actually use these lenses. And we knew we wanted to shoot on 70, and then Bob Richardson and Gregor Tavenet, the focus puller. And I gotta really say, I don't even know if me and Bob would have had the balls to shoot this movie without like somebody we trusted pulling focus on the film. The thing is, we found, he found these lenses, and they go, "Where are these?" And then Panavision explained it to him. He goes, "Well, do they work?" And, "Well, we think they do." They went out and did some tests, and and for the most part, they did work. Now they just had to go. Panavision had to go and really make sure that they could work more. And so the Panavision really got going, and then they started refurbishing the cameras. They started working on the lenses. They created 20-minute mag reels to hold the whole film because they only had about 10-minute ones. I wanted at least 20 minutes. So they had to invent that. Basically, they had to build it. They did. And they really looked at the whole thing, like we all did actually. They looked at the whole thing as a legacy piece, as something for their legacy. And so we jumped in, but the thing about it is we're thinking, well, we're going to be out in this cold and this weather, so there's probably going to be some times where these lenses are going to freeze up or the cameras are going to freeze up, and we're just going to have to, go with it and just deal with stuff. None of that ever happened. It never happened. It was just, the crew was just so good that they looked at everything that could possibly happen and took all the safeguards that they would need to make sure shit didn't happen. And shit didn't happen, and it worked out just really wonderful. The only thing that was tricky was the weather, for the simple fact that, look, we came there to shoot weather. So we weren't gonna just do a bunch of phony stuff while we were there because the weather wasn't necessarily cooperating. But the point being, though, was we never really knew what any weather conditions were going to be any more than 3 days in advance. So basically what we had to do is, depending on what the weather was going to be, a couple days in advance, that's what we were shooting. If it was going to be cloudy and overcast, we were in the stagecoach. If it was going to be sunny, we were in mini shooting. If the snow was falling, we were back up there doing the stuff outside of the stagecoach. Then that would stop, and then we wouldn't film the other part of the scene for another 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks or so. So it was, I was not used to doing drop and pickup, but we just did drop and pickup the entire time we were out there.
I have to ask this before we go to the audience, because I mean, you always have amazing cast, but what a fucking amazing cast you have. How did you put this cast together? There's a great mix of people. We love seeing like Tim Roth and guys that you hadn't worked with in a long time, and a mix of people that you haven't worked with before. Who did you have in mind already besides Sam, or who did you discover along the way that just surprised you? I mean, you're always great at this, but this really outdid yourself on this.
Oh, thanks, man. Well, pretty much everybody that I've worked with before in a big way, I wrote those characters for them. So like Michael and Tim and Kurt and Sam, I wrote those characters for them. And in the case of Walt, I wrote it for him. And same thing with Bruce. The big ones that were open were Domergue and Bob and Jody. Those were the ones I really didn't know. And I remember, and I called you for Bob, because actually in the original draft of the script, Bob was a Frenchman. And then, so when I did this third draft, I changed him to a Mexican. And I remember giving you a call. And I remember saying, so look, I'm running this Mexican character, but I gotta say, there's no Hispanic actors that are just popping in my head that would just be perfect for this character. Nobody's jumping off the page that I'm thinking about.
I was like, Damian Bashir, are you kidding?
That's what he said. He was Damian Bashir.
I forgot about that guy.
And it was funny because Robert goes, the entire time we're doing Machete Kills, he goes, I just kept telling Damian, you're a Quentin actor. You need to work with Quentin. You're a Quentin actor. And you were like, Quentin, just cast it. Don't do anything, just cast it. And then it turned out he was doing a TV series with, The Bridge, with my friend Diane, who was in Inglourious Basterds. And so I ended up I went to like a little dinner for her, partly because I knew he was going to be there. And so I meet him, and I'm telling him about this story and about this script, and it all sounds really cool. He goes, oh, that'd be great. I'd love to come in and read. Ah, fuck, read. You got the part. All right?
I love the, so I've been saving myself. I haven't been reading anything. I knew very little. I did watch the trailer, but I thank you for the Channing Tatum reveal. I had no fucking idea he was in this movie. It was such a wonderful, wait, I think that looks a lot like that guy.
I have to give the Weinsteins credit. Well, like, they keep trying to stick him in the TV spots, and I keep taking him out. All right, and it's like it's always this one shot at chance. No, I told you guys. Right away. Maybe 2 weeks into the wide release, maybe. Not right now. Take that shot of him out.
Well, as a focus audience of 1, it was totally fucking worth it. So. Yeah,
Anybody raise hands, we'll pick
Super awesome questions only, not lame ones. We have the right to veto. Okay, who's out there?
You can pick.
Hey, so 2 questions, one short, one longer.
Well, we're
Best
gonna give you
question,
one.
best
Give the
question.
best, the
Best
best one.
question.
We have a
Who's
limited
best
time
question?
for questions. Your best one. Rate them. Say it.
Alright, so if you consider going to any other mediums after your 10th film, TV or video games or really weird, violent, yogurt commercials?
Yeah, I'm not really into video games that much and everything, but like as far as the mediums that I actually do, like, well, I could imagine shooting like a miniseries kind of thing. I've been thinking about that for a while, frankly. That would be kind of cool. But I would like to, I don't know if there's a place to show it, I would like to shoot on 16 millimeter, but literally like the 133, the window box format.
We can match that.
I know you could.
No problem. We will.
It might be a very limited movie, but we can show it in the proper ratio.
Since we have you two together, would we ever get Grindhouse 2, or would you film it in 70 millimeters?
Well, that would kind of go against the idea.
That's a pretty good idea.
Right now,
It's 70 millimeter.
You got the lenses now, yeah, you got all the
lenses, we
legwork.
got the
Got the
projector.
theaters, you gotta just keep feeding the beast.
Well, yeah, it just took 10 years for people to get what we were trying to do. So now could be the time.
That's not a bad idea.
It's a quick question, guys. First, let me see if I can make sure everybody. I'll ask you a couple questions because one of the things about the movie that I really wanted to do is make it so I don't explain hardly anything about the characters. And the idea is I want you to make your own decisions up. And by you making your decisions, your version of the movie could be different than his version of the movie, depending on the decisions you've made. So I'm kind of curious. Just let me do a quick little thing here. How many people here, raise your hands, if you think that Chris Mannix is the sheriff of Red Rock?
I think so.
Okay. Okay.
I'm doubting it though.
Everybody down. Everybody down. Everybody down. No, doubting is okay. Doubting is natural. All right. I can still think he is. All right. Okay. Now raise your hands if you don't think he's the sheriff of Red Rock. It's 50% every single time. Every single time. Okay. So now let me ask you one other question. All right. How many people think there's 15 extra gang members waiting it out in Red Rock? There. And this is usually when nobody buys a Daisy shirt. You, and maybe somebody over there. Fuck that bitch. There ain't nobody.
Your question right here.
Yeah, so they've already claimed that there is no protagonist really. It's whoever you find to be the protagonist in the film. Why the symbolism of Christ at the beginning and after the intermission? I kept trying to figure that out.
So everybody hear that? What's up with Christ symbolism in the movie? Yeah.
Well, well, frankly, to tell you the truth, where that shot just first starts is the fact that I came across an old photograph, and I think that photograph was set in like Czechoslovakia or Poland or something, and it looked exactly like that. It looked like it was all weathered, and it was a big snow field, and it had this huge canopy of snow covering it. So I thought that was a really, really great image, and I thought it was a fantastic image for a spaghetti western kind of thing. It seemed very spaghetti western. And I even remember in the script when I wrote it, that I described it. You say the Christ is the cross is stone, the Christ is wood, and he doesn't look like the hippie savior of Catholicism. He looks closer to Eisenstein's Ivan the Terrible. All right, he's very pointy, all right, and very Slavic. And the idea behind it was as if Vikings 1,000 years ago, all right, came up to the hills of Wyoming, chiseled a cross out of a rock, carved a savior out of a tree, stuck it in Wyoming, and then went back to Norway. So it's like the idea was that cross has been there before America even was here. It's just always been there. But then the thing is, so that's why I did it. Now, once you put it in a movie and you wrap an entire movie around behind it, now you have, and now it gets other meanings way beyond that photograph, or way even beyond that shot. It seems now like, well, this is such a brittle, broken land that, God is useless by this point in time. It's a godless land. Even Christ is dying. Even Christ is shriveled up into, Christ the Terrible. All right, on that cross.
This is why he's the greatest storyteller working in cinema today.
So that was also sort of the first 70mm porn moment, I think, of the film. Which is like clearly, it's like, I've got this vast canvas. I'm going to make a beautiful picture. How do you conceive those? I mean, do you sketch those out?
That was a big deal, though. That was like, I wanted one kind of drop dead shot in the course of the movie.
You got a few.
Yeah, I did my best, but I wanted one real big deal shot that you could put Morricone's score, his theme playing over it. You can play the credits over it, and you're not waiting for story. It's just about luxuriating in this shot. I'm trying to knock you out right from the very, very beginning. And we kept waiting for us to get a zoom lens, but we ended up never getting a zoom lens during the course of the entire movie. So we had to do it with a crane. And that was one of those crazy days where you're trying to do something, and it had to be snowing while it was happening, or it wouldn't work. And so what happened was, so we go and we do our first take of it. And we're doing it, and it was maybe a little too long. We're doing it, but then we don't know if we're ever going to get another one because the snow could stop at any moment. And then the horses ran out of gas. They literally just ran out of gas before they got up to the cross. So we had to do it all over again. And when I say the horses ran out of gas, it's not, you don't put the stagecoach in reverse and drive it back. We had to unhitch the horses, take them all the way around to get them to that very first point. We had to take the stagecoach, put it on a truck, take it all the way to hell and back to get to the first point. Then we had to cover the entire trail so you can't see that we had already done it once before. And and we're killing ourselves, and that snow could stop at any moment. At any moment, and we would have just been fucked. And I just remember telling the grips who were just killing themselves and pulling it off, and go, guys, this could be the best shot of my career if we get it. So I know everyone is working their hardest, but let's get it done.